Good morning, fam. Thank you for tuning in to the Yanagida Podcast Show, where on today's episode, we'll be talking about health, fitness, massage, and mindset to start living an energy-rich life. I'm your host, Justin Yanagida, and today's episode, we have a special guest. She's part of our Yanagida Fit Fam, massage therapist, Kaitlynn Felipe. And one of the first things I just wanted to get into, Kaitlynn, is how did you get started in all of this that you got going on with massage?
Great question. So it started after college. Everyone kind of has that plan that they start out while they're in high school about what they're gonna do after. And I did that plan. I did the whole university soccer in the mainland. I got recruited. I was on scholarship. I was on track to get my degree. I had this whole game plan. And unfortunately, I didn't see this obstacle after graduating from college. And that was marrying my high school sweetheart, who is a service member. And I have to say that life is very, it's different. It wasn't what I had imagined, not in a bad or a good way. It's just different. And I had to adjust my plan, and it was very shocking. I was like, oh my gosh, we constantly move every 3 years. And so how do I set roots for myself? How do I, make a life where work is something that I can just pick up and go? So through some trials and errors of finding out who I want to be, what I want to do, what's my purpose in life. I finally listened to the one person who I should have listened to a long time ago, and that was my grandmother. She's my best friend.
Yeah.
Grandma knows best, right?
Yes.
So she was like, how about massage therapy? Because she always liked when I massaged her feet. And I was like, massage therapy? I was like, Grandma, I got my bachelor's in biology. I'm going backwards, it was it's kind of we've been given this perspective, these blinders, I like to call them, about okay, yeah, you go to college, you get your degree, you get a great paying job, but in the real world, it just doesn't turn out like that all the time, and that's okay. And I'm really glad I listened to her. So during my time, it was in 2016, I finally took that leap. I said, okay, I'm gonna go to massage school. I'm gonna see how this turns out. I ended up really liking it. I wanted to, with all the different modalities, or what we call them, I wanted to specialize. I wanted to feel connected to something. And that brought me back home to Hawaii to train under my kumu Gina Ivalani. She owns Ho'omana Spa off of Pihola Road in Makawao. And I trained under her for 3 years.
3 years. Dang.
3 years,
what kind of training was that for 3 years?
It was off and on. I would come back home, do a 2 to 3 week workshop, or they call them retreats, because it's more than just learning a technique. We really immerse ourselves with the Hawaiian culture, sacred sites. We learn how to do a little bit more energy stuff.
Oh wow! What's an example? I like that energy stuff. I gotta ask that.
We go through protocol in terms of making sure the space is cleared of any negative energy. You have to be very open-minded about what we're going to be learning. We learn how to do chant before, during, or after a session. We also learn about certain products of the land and the sea and how we can incorporate that into our session. And not everybody's open with that, so it's always good to ask permission. So that's one thing that I make clear. If someone's coming to see me as a client, that is something I incorporate, because it makes me feel better as a therapist and holding space for them. So if that's something they're not open to, I'll respect that. But also it's like this exchange, you have to come to see me open-minded. And usually most of the time they're very open-minded. It's different. They're they just feel it's just a different type of energy and feel than just going to go get your body work done. So it's kind of nice to have that connection, that spiritual and energy connection.
Dang, Kaitlynn, I like this, man. Like, wait, so like this is amazing stuff that people talking about. You're talking about connecting the body with the mind and your energy, and I'm okay. This is great stuff. So, what drew you to this kumu and got you started in that? Like, there had to be something. What was that?
That's a really good question too. So growing up, Lomi was all I pretty much received as a kid.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Especially when I went away for sports. Every time I'd come home, I'd go see my Lomi therapist. And my Lomi therapist is actually on Oahu because I'm originally from there. And I call her Auntie Kumaile. And I actually reached out to her first. I asked her if she was teaching because I wanted to be her hamana or her student. And she said she wasn't teaching at the time. So I asked her if she knew anyone. And she actually referred me to her Lomi sister, which in turn was Kumujina. And I'm really glad I came to Maui to learn under her and meet all of her connections. And just like, it was actually very eye-opening. My first workshop and retreat with her, it was in 2017. You know, growing up in the islands, we have this mindset of like, anything like Hawaiian base is like just for Hawaiians, right? And I didn't realize how limiting that was as a practitioner. And over the course of the years, every time I returned to a workshop or retreat with her, there was always one student or a few who'd be like very triggered by someone who had no like Hawaiian blood, or if they weren't even born and raised here, they'd be like, how can they say that? Like, how can they say Lomi is in them? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. And it took me a while. It took me a few months after my first workshop with my my kumu to understand the perspective of their goal, of what they're trying to achieve, of like wrapping the world in the arms of aloha. And it dawned on me that if everybody could experience Lomi and embrace it in a very positive intention and share that with others, why not? Why not share Hawaiian healing with the world if it's going to help heal it in like more than just a physical way? And it took me a while to understand that. So now if I know like someone that if they're not Hawaiian or if they're not from Hawaii, if they have really great intentions and they want to share this work, then I'm all for that. I think it's a beautiful thing.
I love that. So Lomi, and is this, how did you like, so did soccer have anything to do with that? Because I know you're mentioning about sports and soccer, and I kind of want to backtrack, like high school as a teenager. What were you like? Were you like always just like energy exuberant? Let's go, yeah. Like were you always like that? Or yeah.
No, I wasn't. Oh my goodness, going back to high school. Actually in high school, I was pretty uptight. Well, in my perspective, you know, we're always our what is it called? Our greatest criticizer. Soccer was pretty much my life growing up. I didn't hang out with too many of my friends outside of school. It was basically school, soccer practice, and homework. Like my goal was to get a soccer scholarship to pay for college. Like that was my ultimate goal. Yeah, so it was kind of like my life. I trained all the time. I was always constantly thinking about what I was consuming and was I gonna like, you know, we kind of think about like the way, is that food gonna, I actually didn't probably eat enough food back then, like for the amount of energy I was expending. So that was something I definitely learned later on in life, how like limiting I was when I was in high school. And in college, oh my God, that could totally be a new podcast.
Where did you go to college?
spent my first year at UH Manoa.
Mm-hmm.
I was supposed to play there. It didn't work out, unfortunately, but I think everything happens for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up getting recruited out to what was known as Mesa State College in Grand Junction, Colorado at the time. However, when I was going to school, they transitioned into a university. So I got to graduate from Colorado Mesa University.
Hey.
I know, that was really like, yay, it's cool. That's cool. It's called a university. It was a D2 college, and I was really glad I went to a D2 college. It was smaller. The class sizes were a lot smaller. I was more, I built better relationships with my professors, and I could balance school and soccer. So it was a really great fit for me. Oh, college soccer, you know, as a kid,
Yeah.
you're like, you have all these dreams. You're like, oh my God, college soccer, yes. And going into it, it was like tough. It's like a job. Like people, they don't really tell you that. And
Yeah.
every year it changes because you have new people coming in. There's new
Mm-hmm.
dynamics. The coaches are changing things, and you're like, why
So
are we
true.
doing that this year? So yeah, it was really rough, but you know, I made great friends, and like the competition, you'll never forget how great the competition is. You kind of
Mm.
miss that after a while. You're like, man, that competition was
The game
great, but I
face.
wasn't
Kaitlyn's
always.
game face.
Oh, so serious. My game face,
I
so
love
serious.
it.
So serious.
I
Such a
mean,
serious game face.
what
Like,
would you
don't talk to me.
say?
I'm concentrating.
Yeah, don't talk. What was like the most exciting thing about soccer for
Oh
you?
man.
I mean, there's a lot of things,
Um,
but
the most exciting thing, I gotta say, you know, it was different in high school
Mhm.
versus college. If I for high school, it was, for me, the most exciting thing, it was the games. It was like that competition.
Mm.
You know, you have all those rivalries against your high school, and like, oh, I know that girl, like, oh gosh, I hate her. And then later on in life, you're like, my gosh, why did I have like so much hate for this girl? It's so silly. For college, I have to say the
College.
relationships, the friendships you make
Mm.
within the team, they definitely last a lifetime. I actually was just talking
Oh,
to my old teammate yesterday. Yeah.
hey,
So
there we
that, I
go.
think, is like, and then I think that's the most special thing when
Mm.
about varsity college soccer is you really
Mhm.
create relationships among the team that could last a lifetime. Yeah.
Dang, relationships. Wait, so where is your friend at right now? Is she on that?
She's in
Where's your
California, actually.
California?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's the best part too, right? About going away is in a smaller, petite place. It's really the friendships that you keep. And like I was just talking to one of my classmates as well too. In the previous episode, it was my professor, and I was talking to him about how I keep in contact with a handful of people. And shout out to Nadia, my Russian friend, taught me one word, давай, hurry up. Every time I'm working out, and dang, relationships. So this is a question, kind of changing gears, is stretches. So what are some of
Mm.
the stretches that you would recommend to somebody that maybe sits a lot and isn't
Ooh,
really active? Yeah, what is a stretch?
that's a
Couple
great
things.
one because like
Yeah,
nowadays we're always sitting, right? That's what
right.
our work has like transitioned into. Definitely hip flexors. Hip
Flexors.
flexor. That's like probably my number one muscle
Mhm.
that I work on with almost every single client that's on my table.
Mm.
And that's because if we're not sitting at a desk, we're driving, everything's in
True,
front of us, like we're
true.
eating, our phone, our computers, hip flexors, and pec stretches,
Mm.
opening up that heart space, that chest.
Mhm.
We have what is called internal rotation of our shoulders that causes us to have that hunch grandpa back.
Mhm.
And the hip flexors also contribute to that. So it's that muscle that if we were to stand and bring our knee up, like we're doing high knees, that muscle is working extremely hard to bring that knee up. And if it's already tight, then, you know, we're making it over tight, and where it attaches to our low back, which people, if you ever look it up, like look up hip flexors, or it's called, oh my God, I'm blanking out on the muscle name. I'll get back to that. But the common name hip flexor, if you look it up, look at the image, you'll see how big it is. It's a massive muscle. And if it's really tight and it's attaching to our low back, like just doing even like crunches, we're also using that muscle. It causes that causes a lot of low back pain. So the moment I teach them how to do exercises at home, and if they do it every single day, they'll be like, oh my God, Kaitlynn, my low back is released. And they're like, I have no low back pain. And that's probably the one like most like rewarding thing, is to hear them working on themselves, giving them something small to work on at home and not having any type of pain, not like giving them that power to connect with their body, not take any type of pain meds or do surgery. Like, it's probably one of the most rewarding things about this type of practice that I do, where like just that simple mind-body connection can empower them to like have no pain.
Wow. See, this is why I had to get you on here, Kaitlynn. Like, I was thinking about our book, Fighting Sickness with Fitness. Same philosophy, right?
Yes.
Getting people energy, active, living a long life with a lot of energy, and without doing it with medication, like what you're saying, and flexibility and stretching. And so I want to kind of go into like, why is massage and tissue work so important to us?
That's a good one. If you think about it, our skin is our biggest organ. There's a lot of complexities within the tissue, and we like same thing as fitness, right? Everything is connected. And so the way I like to think about it is, I like to start, I also like, I have some knowledge about even bone structure, how that can affect the muscles and the tissue. So working on your bone structure, is it aligned? And not everybody's bodies are perfect, and that's okay. Like, mine's not perfect at all, and I constantly have to go get looked at or reevaluate myself and see, like, is my bone structure okay? Like, we are like, if you're working out, or even if you're just going about your daily life, you are constantly working those muscles and those tissues. And sometimes your body just needs a little help, needs like a little help from others, or sometimes just rest in general is what your body needs. And it's all a matter of listening to your body. I think we forgot how to just sit and connect and listen to our bodies. I think we've lost that as a generation that has really gone into technology and like this hustle of like making money. We forgot how to slow down a bit and just kind of sit within ourselves and say like, man, like, yeah, I can really feel that. Like, I wonder, like, how come I have that pain, or why is that achy? And sometimes it's like not even like that pain. Like, a lot of people come to see me, they have a lot of wrist pain. They're like, oh, my fingers are numb, they're tingling. And as a massage therapist, we are not allowed to diagnose at all. We can suggest things, and most of the time I take a look at their neck muscles, and that usually contributes to the pain in their wrists. And if it's not, then I refer them out. I refer them, maybe go see their doctor, maybe there's something else going on that we just can't see with the naked eye.
Wait, so the neck, and sometimes with the tingling, it's connected to the neck. So what do you do to somebody, like, if it's on the neck? Is it their trap muscle, or like more their neck muscle?
So back to that whole connection thing, right?
Yeah.
So the back, I definitely warm up the back, open up the back a bit more. And then once I open up the back and I like to call them like the channels, we open up the channels a bit, work the neighborhood. And then when getting into the neck muscles, they're really sensitive. Most of the time they're very contracted, they're really tight, they need that release. I prefer not to go in really hard at first. You know, your body's like gonna protect itself. Like your spine is right there. Your muscles might seize up and be like, "What is happening?" Like,
What's going on?
no, what's
Something
like, you
is
know, that
digging.
instant like fight or flight mode comes on sometimes. So going gently, kind of like, you know, let that person like connect to that brain, their nervous system, to kind of just like relax, breathe through it. And I kind of just work into see like what's happening with the neck. Is it a shoulder thing? Is it a trap thing? So those are the first things I like to work on. I like to work on the big muscles and then get into the smaller muscles to see if it is what is causing that pain or tension in a different part of the body.
Dang. So speaking on that, what are some
Yeah.
of the common mistakes that you might see people, other massage therapists doing, like common things that you're like, ah.
Wow, that's a great one. You know, everybody's so different. Their
Right.
like modality, their specialty is different. Like their approach to things might be um more I guess I would say different. It's not
Uh-huh.
really different. It's just a method or their specialty they prefer.
Uh-huh.
Through all the different modalities that I have like come across and learned,
Hmm.
I have found that well, first of all, they should all be washing their hands. Like everybody needs to be washing their hands.
Wash your
If
hands.
they're not washing, if they're not washing their hands, I'm like, you must leave the room, because that's just like a no thing for me. Like, you know, clean hands, and that's also energy
Yes.
thing. Like, you know,
Hmm.
clean yourself.
Hmm.
That's one. That's definitely a big mistake. If they're not cleaning their hands, it's like no. Oh, another one. I would say it's all about hygiene. I'm not a
Hygiene.
fan. I'm not a fan if they have the painted nails. No, no, no long nails. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we're not gonna be scratching people on the table. Yeah, I say no painted nail, just because when you're, especially if you're working with oil, lotion, or some type of thing to glide, you're moving tissue. You are scraping some dead skin cells off, so that can get caught under the nail polish. And so that to me is more of a hygienic thing. When it comes to bodywork techniques, I wouldn't say mm, I wouldn't call it a mistake. It's just not my approach. Going in really hard, really fast, like going like digging into the tissue really deep, because you're breaking that tissue down, and that can cause bruising. And I don't think that's the best method. I know some practitioners that do like to work that way, and I don't think it's like not effective. I think it can be. I just think the person on the table might be in so much pain the next like
Mm-hmm.
week or so that they're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to go back. And that causes that trauma of like, oh, massages are so hurtful. Like it hurts so much the next like few days. I've had people tell me like, oh, I was hurting for like a week. And I'm like, oh wow, they must have went really deep, really fast. I think people, if they're, you know, they're getting massages, if they're a little achy for 1 or 2 days, to me that's a good range. That means some things were shifted, we worked on some stuff. But I think over a week or 2 weeks, I think that's a little bit like, that's like tissue damage. And that can be really daunting on the nervous system. So the next time somebody works on that area, your brain remembers, your subconscious remembers, like, oh my gosh, like it's gonna be so painful over there. Like people going
That's
really
so
hard on the
true.
IT band. On
Mm.
the IT band is probably one of the biggest ones. I'm not one for going super hard on the IT band, especially the first time I work on someone. I think warming up the tissue is really important. And then once that tissue warms up and you can kind of, you know, sink in underneath layers, the nervous system and the person will be like, oh, okay, I'm gonna allow this person to work in that area because I need it.
Yeah, that's so true, Caitlin, because like somebody was asking me something like that too in the past about if you work someone out too hard on their first day, sure, it might be, I mean, but even the benefits might not be fully there because they might injure themselves or especially first day. And if they're sore for a whole week where they can't walk for a whole week, I don't want to work out anymore. I don't know, it's too much.
Right.
And so I agree with that. Like I love that philosophy of like kind of like easing into it, warming up into it, and then once it's receptive, it's like, okay, now we can push a little bit more. I like that.
Exactly.
Where
Exactly.
did this like thought process come from? Did you always kind of have this thought process, or was this kind of like a combination between sports and life and I mean being married to Cody? Shout out Cody. I love that guy,
um
handsome guy.
I know he's great. He's really awesome. So glad he's my partner in life and everything. That's a really awesome question. I always thought like, going hard, like just dig it out. I thought that was the best method, like growing up. I
Mm,
actually learned that they touched base on it in massage school, but it didn't click for me until I was training under my kumu, learning her techniques and why those techniques work, especially like long term. Like instead of always being specific or using that pointy part of your elbow, like using, I love using the broadness of and the flat surface of my forearms. um, it's a nicer approach to the body, and it feels better for my body. Like my work is behind my my shoulders.
mm-hmm.
I'm using my legs more properly. I'm not having to use too much of like just my upper body, and like there's not a lot of pressure on my fingertips all the time, because
Mm,
most therapists I meet, they end up having a lot of thumb issues,
thumb issues.
elbow issues, because
Mhm.
we tend to like lock everything out to apply more pressure.
Oh,
And so the technique and the thought process of like approaching it softer until
mhm.
the body allows us to sink in and really get deep in a nice soft approach way
Yeah.
didn't come into play until I was learning Lomi. Yeah.
Oh. See, no, that's really interesting. The whole because there's so many different types of massage, right? Like I only know like I'm very like unaware. I probably know like deep tissue, lomi lomi, shiatsu, and like maybe like one or two other things. But like just broadly, like how many are different styles are there?
Oh my gosh. I couldn't give you a number,
But is it a
because,
it's a lot.
well, if we're talking about generally just massage, but I like to include energy workers because I think they're also working with the body
Oh,
too.
yeah,
Um,
true.
and even though they're not manually pushing tissue, they may place a hand or two um, on top of the body to move like what many cultures call like chi or ki.
Hmm.
Um, believe it's prana. I could be totally mistaken. I apologize.
No.
So I've experienced. I've done the shiatsu. I've done the Swedish, the deep tissue,
Oh wow.
craniosacral,
Oh.
lomi, Reiki.
Mhm.
Um, there's also this other energy worker. She does like Lemurian energy. There's
Wow.
so many different types. Myofascial therapy release is another one. That's a little bit more of a
Mm.
dry work.
Hmm.
Um, and then some people like to use tools. I had a therapist that used to work on me in California, and he loved using tools in his work.
Mm.
Um, I believe the Western practice is called Graston.
Graston. Hmm.
Yep. So like scraping, and like kind of like combing out the fascia, the connective
Oh.
tissue that encases our muscles. So there's so many different types of modalities and the way people like incorporate that in their work. So I couldn't give you an exact number, but there's like
No.
so many, and I think it's really awesome to try it. Just try it
Mhm.
all. Even like somatic therapy, that's a really interesting one.
Mm.
Um,
So what is that somatic therapy?
so there's different types. There's one that's more there's therapists that I've only worked with one therapist and that was she wasn't certified to do it with a physical touch. That was more like talking you through something and like
Oh.
really like diving deep and trying to find like the underlying issue of why, because some people sometimes the way they feel emotionally, it remains stagnant in
Uh-huh.
our bodies, and then it festers, and then it creates like a physical thing. So sometimes it's not even a physical issue. It's more of an emotional or a
That's the
spiritual
root.
issue. Yeah, it's like
Mm.
oh my gosh, my kumu could tell you so many stories about sometimes of an emotional thing. But I don't know if
So
I've
that's
ever
called a
experienced
somatic
that
therapy?
yet. Yeah, I've only met one lady. I've never gotten the chance to experience it where
Oh,
someone
wow.
used their hands. Yeah. But I know
Huh.
there's some really great therapists that can do that. And if you find one, let me know.
Yeah.
So I would
So
love
wait, so
to give that a
somatic is mostly where they ask you questions and then you kind of dive deeper into
they kind
the,
of like guide you through
they guide
something.
you.
And yeah, but I know there's some they actually use touch, like um I don't know anyone off the top of my head that uses touch. I would love to experience it. It looks interesting. I'm super open about different modalities, and like I think finding that person, finding the right therapist that works for
Mm.
you, um, that specializes. Usually, if they specialize in something, make sure that they work for you. Like because sometimes they could be really great, they can be really great therapists, but they would just not connect with you in that time or in that moment, and then later on you're like, okay, I'm ready for this person.
Mm.
Because I've seen people that are great therapists
Mhm.
doing a modality that just didn't work for me, and then I go see someone that's like does a modality that I would never have thought about seeing them, and they're
Uh-huh.
wonderful for me at that time and moment that I needed them.
Oh, wow. See, I like that because it's a time and place with certain skills and techniques. And, you know, one of the things I always wondered about, Kaitlynn, is how do you personally keep your energy high? You're always happy, you're always smiling, it seems like, you're always happy and grateful about things and you're in a good energy state. And like, what are some of your daily practices or habits like that you do to keep it up?
Mm, I love this question. Um, well, moving your body. I love coming to the gym at Yanagida Fitness.
Hey, shout out.
Yeah. And plus the energy at the gym is just so wonderful. It like I could totally be having like, oh my gosh, okay, like I'm so exhausted, but let's just go get this workout in, and then afterwards I feel so good. So
Mm,
movement of the body for sure.
mhm.
Hydration, hydration,
Mm.
hydration. Just adding in more water. You know, we're not all perfect. We can't be like I have a beverage that has alcohol in it or caffeine once in a while. You know, I indulge in sweets
Mhm.
or that plate lunch, you know.
Oh, love
So
it.
I'm not
Oh my God.
super hard on myself. Like I
Mhm.
think that was one thing too. Growing up, I was so hard on myself about what I consumed all the time,
Oh, that's right. You were
and
saying.
I think that messed with me a little bit more mentally, and then
Mhm.
festered into more of a physical thing later on in life. So I try not to
Mhm.
be too hard about myself and like what I'm eating all the time. I think it's good to enjoy those moments in life and those people, and go have that cheeseburger or go have that beer. You know,
Yes.
definitely that water movement. I have become I've really embraced the practice of meditation. I
Mm.
think I think sitting and just connecting, like I said, with our mind and body
Mhm.
is so important these days.
Mm. So for the
Let's see.
meditation, what does that look
Yeah.
like? Because people are probably
Mm.
listening like, dang, like meditation. What is that?
So there's different types of meditation that
Uh-huh.
so we have more of like guided meditation. That's a very popular one. Um, there's ones where they like focus on a object or a affirmation
Mm.
as they meditate. I like to create my space, like create a space that feels really good for yourself.
Mm.
Maybe some soft music. I like to have music.
Hey, there we
Like
go.
meditation music.
Yeah.
Sometimes I put my diffuser and do my oil things, and but sometimes people can meditate like in a coffee shop. They can totally do it.
Mm.
Cody would be working, and I would just be meditating in my corner. And I like to do
Nice.
like connection meditation, like kind of just like, first and foremost, always ground yourself.
Mm.
And there's a method to that. And I like to meditate at least 20 minutes minimally. I've gone over an hour before
Oh
of
wow.
just like, yeah, like focusing on my breathing and kind of just like you're relaxing your brain. And then when you
Hmm.
relax your brain, amazing things can happen. And then
Yeah.
after I meditate, I feel really energized. It feels great.
Mhm.
I've actually been working with Cody, my husband, on meditation. We've been doing partner meditation. So
Yay. There
that's
we
been really
go.
fun. Yeah.
Wow. And see, like that always intrigues me too, because like I'm always looking for ways to increase my energy, increase my mentality, increase the speed I can think and do things. And it's so interesting because sometimes it's so true when you slow down, you can pick things back up, right? Getting that recovery, like what you're saying, the sleep, the hydration, meditating. Like in a previous interview, somebody had asked me about what I do every day. And one of the things was meditate too. And then I'll always start my day with gratitude. Like I always started with, I am so
Mm.
happy and grateful. And before when I started this, I was like, oh, well, this is how dumb I was. And well, not dumb, ignorant. When I first started this, I was like, well, what can I be grateful for? Like I don't have anything. Or this is what I thought. I felt like I didn't have anything. I just was in a bad place. And somebody had mentioned to me, man, you can't find anything to be grateful for. Like that's pathetic, bro. Like people are like having way more problems and you're living like this. At the time I was like 21 or 22. And dude, you live on Maui. Like, how are you not grateful for that? Like, look at the sky, all these things. And so, no joke, no joke, not every day, but some days where I will literally find something super tiny to be grateful for. Like when I wake up, I purposely will put my alarm, really far away. And I'm just like, man, okay, well, I'm grateful. It's ringing. I'm like, dang, I'm grateful this sheet is really soft today. Or I'm grateful the birds, they're not even chirping yet because the sun's not out. So the birds, it's still quiet. Or when the birds start
Mm.
chirping, they start singing, right? Because the sun's out. And I'm like, wow, I'm so happy and grateful. Look at this, man. Birds are singing, the sky is, lighting up. And so I love that. I love that. Meditation. Dang. So we
Love
got
that
water,
gratitude practice.
move your body, meditation.
Sleep. You mentioned sleep. Oh my gosh, I
Yes.
love sleep. Sleep is so
Yeah.
important. I'm always grateful for sleep.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, I think a gratitude practice is really important. I notice I write down the same things actually when I write down in my gratitude journal. It's like
Mm.
sleep, water,
Yeah.
cool breeze.
Cool
I've said that
breeze.
cool,
Yeah.
cool breezes and like not this death of humidity. Let's see.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
I have to say one of like the most positive, why I probably am a very positive person, is Cody, my husband.
Mm.
I have to give him a shout out.
Cody.
um that,
Yeah.
that guy.
So how has he
Just
influenced
very,
your life,
oh my
Cody?
goodness, so many ways.
So many ways.
First and foremost, he taught me patience.
Mm.
My gosh, that guy is so patient. It's like unbelievable how I'm like, what? That doesn't bother you? He's like, well, it did, but just for like 10 seconds. He's like, I'm over it. I'm like, what? Oh my God, that's a superpower.
Yes.
I'm like, how do I get on his level, right? So definitely he's taught me patience. My God, that was probably the hugest one. He may not show this at the gym, but he definitely loves unconditionally. Because the gym he's so like serious face. Yeah. But he's definitely a cuddle bug.
I like that, cuddle bug.
Communication. I think communication is so important. We communicate effectively and in a way that's not so limiting to the other person. We never, like, everyone always asks me this question, like, well, do you and Cody fight a lot? And I'm like, maybe we fought like maybe twice in our 13 years together. Wow. Like, really fought, like, and he just doesn't like conflict. And I realized, like, fighting, it takes us so much energy. It takes so much energy. I don't like it. It's like, why are we even fighting? Like, let's talk this out, listen to each other, and then come to some type of like conclusion or compromise. And usually it's fine. And what used to irritate me a long time ago, now I just laugh about it. Like, you tend to find, like, people are like, oh, so-and-so has like these flaws. And like, I just laugh. I'm like, you know what? They have flaws, but I love them anyway. Like, I love him anyway, even though he has like these small flaws. I just laugh about it. I'll like joke with him. For example, he has like this thing where he likes to leave cupboards open nowadays. I don't know where that came from.
Wow.
Yeah. He'll like be like, if he likes making something in the kitchen, he leaves all the cupboards open. And then I come out and I'm like, why are all these cupboards open? And so nowadays I just joke and say, like, every cupboard you leave open, you owe me $1. But of course that's not real. And like, he's like, we'll just laugh about it. And he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. Being also, one thing is like admitting when you're wrong. That's hard for people. I think that's important. I think that is important for relationships and also like self-growth. Like, you grow as a person when you can admit, like, I did something wrong. I'm acknowledging that, and I'm apologizing. Like, I deeply apologize for what I did was wrong. And Cody and I always acknowledge that, like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, that wasn't my intention. And like, let me know what bothered you. And I'll try my best not to do it again, but I might need a reminder. And then it's all good. Like, we just like, he's my best friend. It's awesome. I'm so glad I met him like early on in life.
Yeah. So how did you guys meet? Because people are gonna be like, how did you meet someone like that? So you said you were met in high school?
Yeah, we met in high school. Oh man, everyone's gonna hear the story. So long story short,
yes.
I was 16, and at the time I was attending Pearl City High School, and Alyssa will definitely, she'll know because she went to Pearl City High School. Alyssa. So we used to go to the Baldwin Classic soccer tournament every fall, and it was my junior year. That was my best year. I loved junior high school. It was so carefree. I was probably at the peak of my soccer performance, and we were playing out here in Maui, and Cody had seen me on the soccer field. He was watching me play, and I guess it occurred to him, like, whoa, who's this girl, and I was always a very humble player. I didn't really brag. I just I showcased what I had on the field. Some people might disagree, and that's okay. And surprisingly, I was very shocked. I had won MVP of that tournament that year, and I was shocked because I wasn't a goal scorer. I didn't score. I think I scored 1 goal that whole tournament. Anyway, they announced my name on the PA system. Oh, Kaitlynn Holt got the MVP award. And I was like, oh, cool. And he heard my name over the PA system because he was warming up for his soccer game. He also played soccer for Kamehameha.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, Kaitlynn Holt. Okay, I got to remember this. So later on, he finds me online.
Online, MySpace.
MySpace.
Hey.
Oh my gosh. And he and I had a mutual friend. My teammate in club soccer was friends with him. And we started chatting on MySpace, and I was like, oh, I know this guy. Like, I knew his club team, and I was like, oh, cool, he seems so nice. And I wanted to be friends with him. So eventually I gave him my number. Hey, if you ever want to talk more, like, just give me a call. So eventually a phone call led to more conversation, and more conversation led to like, oh, I really like you. And we knew we were on different islands. So we were like, oh, like, do you want to, like, you know, go steady, like be boyfriend, girlfriend, see where this whole long distance you know, takes us. And we were really serious about each other back then, believe it or not. Like, I think our parents thought we were crazy. Like, we're still young, they have no idea. Like, they'll probably go their separate ways, and like, there'll be heartbreak and just, and like, I'm not gonna lie, the first 2 years were the roughest. You know, Cody, he went away to college because I'm a year younger, and I had to stay home, finish my senior year of high school. And then I went to 1 year Manoa. So those first 2 years were really rough. And then it wasn't until I got recruited to Colorado, where Cody was going to college, at a different college at the time, where things were a little bit easier, same time zone. But we did it. We did the long distance thing for about 5.5 years. And then we both graduated from college. And then he finally proposed. Yeah. And then the rest is history. Yeah.
Wow. Cody.
Yeah,
Dang.
Definitely the Rock.
That's the guy. Wow. So we're winding down to our last final questions. Dang, Kaitlynn. So one of the things I always like to ask is, if you could go back to when you were, like what we were just talking about, at 18 years old, what advice would you give to yourself? Like, if you could, like, teleport to your 18-year-old self, and you're looking at yourself at 18, and she's like, you guys start talking, what would you tell yourself?
Oh man, that's a really awesome one. I love this one, you know, because you're like about to transition into a new life, right? A new journey from
18,
high school
yeah.
to wherever you're going. I definitely would have told myself, ride it out with Cody during all the
Not with
hardships.
Cody.
Write it out, like, even though it's gonna be hard with him, just write it out, because in the end it'll be worth it, and we'll be happy together. Definitely that. Another one is, you know, don't take life so seriously, and it's okay if your path changes, because no one tells you that when you're 18. Like, they try to set you up for success, but there will be, like, you know, there will be some failures, and there'll be like sometimes, like, you know, some people, they have it all figured out, and I think that's so great. I think that's amazing. And some people, like in my 20s, I'm about to leave my 20s next year.
Hey.
And I wish someone had told me when I was 18, like, it's okay if your plan doesn't like come forth and be smooth as you want it to be. If you had asked me that I knew it was gonna end up like this, I would be like, hell no. Definitely not. Definitely not. So it's okay if you're like, that's not probably the biggest thing I would have told myself, is like, your 20s are all about figuring out who you are. And it's okay if it changes. Like, don't let other people's like opinions matter or judge you. And I think people should just enjoy their 20s. Like, that's a time for, like, you know, figuring out, like, is that what I want to do? Is that who I want to be? Or like, is this that moment in time? Like, okay, like, yeah, this is great, but you know, I'm gonna change. Like, I'd rather change it, because I meet people that they have a game plan and they follow through, and they're doing great. They look successful, like, you know, through Instagram or whatever. And then the moment I start getting to know them, they're like, man, I want to change. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. They never got to experience that. And to me, that's okay too. But like, people that I think we're figuring out in their 20s, they're so like, oh my God, what am I doing with my life? Like, I don't want to be doing this for the next 20 years or whatever. And I think it's okay to just allow themselves, like, what they're doing isn't going to define who they are. but just enjoy the process of like growing in their 20s. That's definitely what I would have told myself when I was 18.
Dang. It's all good stuff, Kaitlynn. Last one I always ask everybody.
Okay.
What does fighting sickness with fitness mean to you, Kaitlynn?
Oh my God, I love that. I really do. I don't think people realize how powerful they can be with the simple action of just moving their bodies. Moving their bodies, connecting with their bodies, like their mind and their body is like, that is such a huge thing. Like, I think people forget like how simple like arm rotations are great for your shoulder joint. So fighting sickness with fitness, it really is definitely in the name. Like, working out at the gym has been so great for me. I feel so much healthier, and like we're like this family that also incorporates positive affirmations and like nutritional intake. And I think just like being a part of that just says it for the name in itself. Like, fitness fighting sickness. Like, just move your body.
Dang. Move your body. Mic drop. That's the mic drop. Move your body. Kaitlynn Felipe. Boom.
Just move your body, even if it's like 30 minutes walking.
Oh my
I think
gosh.
people forget. We forgot
how simple it can be.
As a generation. Yeah, how simple it can be. A simple concept. We don't need like all these extra things all the time.
100%. Kaitlynn. Well, Kaitlynn, I want to just thank you again for coming on to the show. Is there anything else you want to share with our audience today?
No, just thank you. I'm so like flattered you even asked me. Oh man, very flattered, very honored, and I hope they find this episode entertaining and informational. I'm here on Maui. I do Lomi, but I'm also doing other things as well. I'm going to be working on offering meditation, breathwork classes. So if they want to follow me, they can, but I'm not like a
so
Uber,
where can our audience find you? We'll put it all in the description too.
I have a website, livekauikehawaii.com. They can find me at Yanagida Gym. Come work out with us. That's probably the best way to connect with me is to meet me at the gym, and then you can just get my phone number.
That's the best. Got it.
And
we'll put all
that
that.
I'm already analyzing them.
That's true. You already can see their posture. Oh my god. Oh, that's the best, Kaitlynn. Okay, we'll put all that information. Are you on social media as well, Kaitlynn?
I am. I believe it's Live Kaulike with Kaitlynn is my Instagram. That's a great way to connect with me. I'm not very active on social media all the time. I'm working on it, but I do have my website up and running, and I have my contact there for my phone and my email if they want to reach out to me.
Love it. All right. So we'll put all that in the description, Kaitlynn. We'll make sure that people can find you. And thank you again, everybody, for joining us today. And thank you, Kaitlynn, for sharing your knowledge and your experiences with us. And until next time, next Monday, stay healthy and keep on fighting sickness with fitness.